I gotta give it a good hit. For those of you who've been around since, like, subscriber 5, that probably sounds pretty familiar. Probably takes you back to a simpler time. Well, now we're at 5,000 subscribers, which is a pretty big deal for us. Something we never thought would be possible, and I want to thank each and every one of you for it, because without you guys, we'd be nothing. We'd be screaming into the void. That's not very fun. We did it for a while. It wasn't a very good experience. Every time we hit one of these milestones, it's like we've surpassed our own limits in some way. You know, you know what? I feel like I'm Goku going Super Saiyan like 12 right now. That was a dumb joke. I'm cutting that. Every time we hit one of these milestones, it feels like we're breaking not just our own limits, but increasing the scope of what we can accomplish. And it is such a cool feeling. Even more cool, however, is getting to interact with you guys. Getting to experience the wacky world of different characters we've gotten to interact with and experience. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. You guys are amazing. You know, we've ran to a lot of snags, we've had a lot of issues, we've had a lot of low times recently, but each and every single time we've been able to bounce back because, you know what? It's pretty nice when someone checks in on you and is like, hey, you know what? Like, I see you're going through some rough times, like, how's it going? You know, having that happen to us recently when we were going through issues with demonetization, we're still going through it, we're still in the thick of it, but it made it more bearable. It is something that is super moving and amazing, and I can't thank you all enough for 5,000. You know, let's shoot for the moon. Let's shoot for 10,000, 20,000, 25,000, 50,000. I don't know, 500 million subscribers for ThunderClub. A billion ThunderClub subscribers. Freaking, like, I don't know where this joke is going, but let's just shoot for the moon. You know, like, we get a little bit bigger, we get a little bit better every day. And once again, thank you guys. You know, normally when we do these sort of sappy thank you videos, we like to do compilations where we have like random best ofs or whatever. But this time I think it's time for something a little bit different. I want to have a story time. The things we experience when we're doing recordings, when we have recording sessions, when we call them recording weekends because we get together for a weekend and we'll record a bunch when we can. Let's have some story time from some of those. I know Kaz and Sliv, they have some stuff they want to say as well, so I'm going to hand it off to them after I'm done telling my story, because I made the video, so I get to go first. Take that, nerds. And then I'll hand it off to them, and I'll be back around at the end to kind of wrap things up in a neat little bow and say the sappy grin things at the end that everyone's come to know and expect, and some dread. Now for my story, I want to take you back, and I want to talk to you a little bit about, like, how things work behind the scenes for us. So we can't always get together. We're too far spread apart. We're all over the bloody place. We're all, like, located in the same, like, time zone, but it's, like, a solid, I don't know, 3-hour drive for some of us to kind of meet up properly. It is a bit of a nightmare. So when we meet up, we got to make the most of it. We got to have a recording weekend. So October 2021, I believe, we had like our big in-person meeting, and we don't do big meetings like that often. They're very exhausting, and generally there's a lot of fluff we could probably cut out. But going into that meeting, I wanted to go all in. I didn't want to leave anything on the table, and I went ahead and I made duotangs. I made duotangs for everyone. I made a duotang for the unnamed guest, which proceeded to be the first in a long line of instances where I make something for him and then he doesn't take it, because he's not technically involved with the channel. Now, the duotang had all the information we could possibly need. It was all the meeting notes, it was all the things we were talking about that day, my proposals for everything, what needed to be addressed, who needed to be addressed, how we were doing views-wise. There's some hilarious stuff in there in hindsight, because it's like, oh man, how did we get to, I think we had just hit like 100 subs. And it's like, oh man, how do we get to that next level? And it's kind of wild I'm telling the story at the 5,000 subscriber special. And everyone shat on the duotangs. Some people say, like, I think Kaz says in hindsight he liked the duotangs. everyone shot on the duotangs, and that was fine. And it was great, and we had a good meeting, and like, despite it all, those duotangs were really informative. The highlight of this, however, is afterwards we all pile up in Sliv's car for the most part. I think like a couple of us had to take a different vehicle, and every single person left the duotang in Sliv's car, including myself, by accident. And no one wanted them back in the end. Kaz had me upload the files to the Google Drive, and the duotangs ended up being this weird footnote that still to this day comes up every time we have an in-person get-together is about the duotangs. We've upgraded to binders now, actually. We have a set of ThunderClub binders that everyone's definitely going to forget the next time we have an in-person meeting. Anyway, bringing it back around, we've come so far since the duotang meeting. But most importantly, I definitely still hold a grudge about the duotang meeting. You guys are assholes and you all suck. I'm gonna hand it off to Kaz next, and then we'll be back around to wrap things up at the end. My phone just fucking went off, and I'm not recording this again. I'm not doing it. I've been here for an hour. I gotta be up in like 6 hours, and I'm not re-recording this. This is all going in the video. This is how it's gonna be. I'm not changing.
I guess it's about time for the ThunderClub 5000 sub special. Don't mind the drank double shot can, the half-eaten can of Peyton, half-eaten jar of Old Spice. Today we're gonna talk about Rag.
This ended up being probably one of the most fucking cursed videos, timeline-wise. I remember telling the boys in fucking April of last year, like, oh yeah, Rag, that's a small video. Like, that's a nothing video. I'm gonna put it out in May, probably end of May, and there aren't gonna be any issues with it. I kept delaying it and having to fucking delay it again, just because the scope of the stupid fucking video just kept getting bigger and bigger. The more I worked on it, the more I realized I wanted to put more effort into this fucking video. And by the end of it, I fucking caught the super coof. I got a COVID. And basically, the only way this fucking thing could get done was from like a week of me being trapped home from not being able to go to my fucking job. That was pretty much the only way I could get this done. In fact, if you go back and watch the last part of that video and the card opening part of that video, my voice seems like slightly like shittier, and I recorded that when I was dying from the coof. I guess I should shout out the cool people that are relevant to the channel. Massive shoutouts to M. That's all I'm going to refer to her as. No, it's not Mizuhara. She knows who she is. Shouts to 8th place Dave, absolute legend. Talking to him and like understanding his process and where he's kind of coming from was something that really inspired me to keep creating content. Shouts to Jake Paul, all my fellow Jake Paulers. Continue buying products. Shoutouts to the Modern Warfare subreddit. I have currently written about 50 Commander Shepard x Soap McTavish fanfics. Massive shouts to Shaquille O'Neal for being a fucking pussy and not responding back to Sliv. We know you're scared, okay? And, 5K, it's pretty solid, but, me and the boys are just getting started, okay? Anyway, you lads take care, and, I'll see you later.
Favorite memory of the channel by far is destroy you fucks at Skyrim.
ThunderClub. 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 ThunderClub has a lot of issues sometimes. But these guys are the best guys I've ever worked with. Nothing will ever beat the last time we got together to do a large group recording. We spent several hours dialing in this brand new mixer. Oh boy, was that ever a pain in the ass. We couldn't get anything right. Headache after headache. And when we finally got this absolute unit dialed in, our boy Kaz is like, hey Sliv, I went to the mall the other day. My girlfriend wouldn't let me get a pretzel, so we're gonna go get a pretzel right now. And I'm like, Kaz, no, we gotta do our videos. We gotta do Pokemon by memory. We have to do other things. But he's like, no, Sliv, pretzel now. You're coming with me or you're not. I'm getting a pretzel either way. So we have to get up and leave Rin at the house, and we go get pretzels at the mall. And the most expensive fucking pretzels I've ever eaten. It was like $40 for like 4 pretzels, 5 pretzels. Huge pain in the ass. I think he's like, Sliv, I want nachos for lunch. So we go into the grocery store at the mall, right? But this isn't your everyday grocery store. This is one of those, like, hipster, really expensive, like, Whole Foods style stores. And we bought nachos that were like $8 a bag for nachos. So we bring them home, we get back to the house, and we start recording. Later on, we want the nachos, so I'm like, hey, Kaz, we're gonna eat the nachos now. So we get the nachos ready, we put them in the oven with the cheese, and I had the bright idea to put them on broil. Because I'm like, oh, if you want to melt the cheese, you gotta put the heat on top. Makes sense, right? Sorta. So we burnt the nachos, which were already flavored with, like, avocado and salsa. And, they were the most disappointing nachos I've ever eaten. Lesson of the story. Never get Kaz his pretzels, because it's gonna slow down the recording weekend. And, check out our Redbubble if you want, a Nito Burrito shirt like this. That's still up, right? Right, Rin? The Redbubble is still up. If people want shirts like this or anything else, really, check out our Redbubble. Yeah, fuck me. I'd also like to thank all of you for supporting us through this. 5K subs. That's something we didn't think we'd reach. But hey, we did. We're going up. We're gonna grow from this. We're gonna get bigger. And we're glad to have you all around for the ride. Thanks for supporting us. See ya.
Well, it was a lot of fun to take a quick trip down memory lane. I originally intended to do this big outro where I was going to, say the whole thing about how great it was that we hit 5K again and all that fun stuff and be sappy, but honestly, at this point, I think I'll be repeating what the others said. I also want to take a moment to shout out Pork Chopper Pork. He's been our shorts guy for the past, over a year now. He's not around on a lot of videos outside of group stuff, and sadly he wasn't able to get anything done for this video, but he's still a part of the channel, and as always, the unnamed guest who I'm so sure really laments that he couldn't tell a story for this occasion. I'm sure he's really bummed out about it. I'm certain. Well, anyway, here's on to the road to the future. Will the future hold? Probably more YouTube videos. Unless everything goes to hell in the next week. See ya! Oh yeah, I need to do the Cyber Ren thing that I do at the end of every video that I'm involved with. Thank you.